All right, welcome everyone. So excited to have you all here. My name is Colleen Withers. I am the director of the career development team here at Santa Clara University. This webinar is free and open to the public, so appreciate all of you who are zooming in from all over the place. If you can add to the chat where you're from, that would be great. Love to see everyone's location. Also a couple quick notes before we get started. The webinars here that you see on the screen are also free and open to the public. So today is Rock Your LinkedIn Profile, Tips from the Experts. We will have 3 more sessions coming up in the rest of the summer. July 16th, Embracing Change, Innovative Approaches to Job Hunting. August 14th, Tips from Recruiters. And then August 21st, How AI Will Impact Your Career. So feel free to take down those QR codes. Those should be the Zoom registration links. Would love to see all of you at the sessions for the rest of the summer. Other than that, I will introduce our speaker here in the moment. Please stay on mute for now. She will be open to questions at the end, but if a question comes to you during her session, please feel free to put it in the chat. I will also be monitoring the chat, so happy to answer any questions that I can. All right, I'm going to stop sharing and let Anna take over.
Well, I'll start my screen share now.
Perfect. And I'd just like to introduce Anna Moroka. She is our LinkedIn Learning specialist. She's going to run through some exciting tips on LinkedIn and how to make the best use of LinkedIn for your summer.
Wonderful. And I am just making sure my screen share comes over. One moment.
Perfect. Yes,
Windows, is that coming over okay?
it is. Looks great. Thanks, Anna.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. I'm really excited for the opportunity to connect with everybody. My name is Anna Moroka, and I'm a Principal Customer Success Manager here at LinkedIn. More specifically, I work on our LinkedIn Learning solution. And I've been working on our learning solution for a little over 11 years now. So have been here for quite some time, and I'm really excited to be able to share a couple of tips and tricks that I've learned along the way as well. If I do miss any questions, please forgive me. I'll get to as many as I can at the end of the call, and I can also follow up after this presentation as well. All right. So with that in mind, here we are going to be focused in on what we like to call here really rocking your LinkedIn profile. And ultimately, we're focused on how you can really optimize your time on the LinkedIn platform to support your career journeys. We are going to talk a little bit about ways to approach this from a student or a career starter, but regardless of where you are in your career journey, I hope you find a couple of best practices that will be helpful. And on the agenda, we will talk a little bit about what is LinkedIn. If anybody is new to exploring LinkedIn, we'll talk a little bit about that. We are going to discuss a little bit about professional branding, getting started with your profile, and then ways to start to leverage your LinkedIn network to do things like connect with others, connect to opportunities on the platform as well. And then we will also talk a little bit at the end about the LinkedIn Learning resource and ways that you can leverage it to help support skills development that can really align with your different career goals.
My goodness. That's awesome.
All right. So that's a look at today's agenda. We are going
Okay.
to start off with a little bit of
Oh
context
my God.
around LinkedIn. Here, so in case anybody is new to leveraging LinkedIn.com, what we are is one of the world's largest professional networks. In fact, you may be interested to know that we recently surpassed 1 billion members on the platform. So over 1 billion professionals have profiles on the LinkedIn platform. This includes members across over 200 countries, in fact. There are over 2.9 million different groups to engage with on LinkedIn to help build your community. And we're also well known as a hiring platform. So at the time this presentation was put together, we had about 3 people hired every minute on the LinkedIn platform and over 68 million employers leveraging the platform as well. So a lot happening on LinkedIn.com, as you can see here. And our goal with all of this is that we hope that you can start to leverage LinkedIn to really start to build out your professional network and ultimately connect to opportunity on the platform. Now, over the next couple of slides, you may hear me mention a couple of different terms. So I thought it would be helpful to define these at the start of the call. I will often refer to workforce. And what I am talking about when I mention workforce are all of the people who are currently working or available for work in a specific region. When we talk about really connecting to opportunity, this is ultimately our vision here at LinkedIn as a company, is to help create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. I'll also refer to connections, and connections are going to be your contacts that you can make on LinkedIn. There are several ways to start building out your connections. I'm going to cover some best practices there. And your network is your connected community of people on the platform. And then lastly, I will also talk a little bit about referrals. And in case that is new to anybody on today's call, referrals are when a job seeker is recommended for an opportunity by someone in his or her network. So those are a couple of different terms you may hear me refer to. Now, whenever I approach really thinking about the LinkedIn profile, I like to start off with firstly thinking about your professional brand. I think this can help inform how you go about completing your profile or updating your profile. Ultimately, it really starts with starting to think about what is my unique professional brand. We all have a personal and professional brand here. These include important items here. So when we think about our personal brand, this is really serving as sort of a promise to those around us. It starts to really cover what people can expect from working with us. And it also helps really start to show our story. Each of us are unique, and our personal and professional brands are part of that. So when we start to think about our professional brand further, this can include key items like skills we have, our network we're connected with, information we have. We all have different areas of expertise and knowledge. We also have unique values and career goals that we're looking to achieve. All of these different components are all part of our broader professional brand. So I love to start here before you get started with your profile. Maybe you already have one and you're going to be going in and updating it following the call. I encourage you to just take a couple of moments, really think about what is my unique professional brand? What is the story that I want to tell about my unique career journey? So, just a great starting point. If you haven't taken a moment to really consider that personal and professional brand, that would be my top recommendation to get started. So, once we've had a moment to start to think about some of these different components that we might want to bring into our profile, then it becomes time to really start building out your LinkedIn profiles. So, a couple of different steps to this. Firstly is simply getting started on the platform. So it's pretty simple to set up a profile if you haven't done so. Just linkedin.com will be where you'll want to go to do so. We do have desktop and mobile apps depending on your preference there. We do have some premium subscriptions, but everything that I'm going to be covering in today's workshop is going to be what's offered here with your standard profile experience. So just wanted to clarify that. I often get questions about that. But I will not be focused on the premium tools for today. I will be focused in on the general experience. So you have signed up for LinkedIn, you are ready to start filling out your profile or revisiting your profile. I often start to get questions at this point around perhaps you already have a resume. Why should I consider a LinkedIn profile? Are these the same thing? Are they different? And they are, in fact, quite different. I think there are incredible benefits and purposes for having both. But when it comes to the LinkedIn profile, what makes this a little bit unique is that it does create an opportunity to help speak to all potential employers. Many times we are sending our resumes to specific employers as we're applying for opportunities there. But LinkedIn, of course, really opens up some of that discoverability. Here, we mentioned earlier, over 1 billion members on the platform. So a lot of potential to engage with others by maintaining a LinkedIn profile. One of my favorite features is that it also creates space to really start to share your unique story on the platform. You will find open fields where you can start to really go into details around accomplishments, goals, your unique educational or academic background there. So, just so many spaces here to make your profile your own. It also allows others to be able to interact with you so they can proactively reach out to you potentially on the platform. And another unique benefit to the platform is that it can also start to include recommendations, and endorsements from others that you may have worked with. This is really unique because you can carry those recommendations forward with you here throughout your career journey. So a lot of great opportunities are possible through the platform. Once you're starting to fill out some of the optional fields, you'll start to go into a couple of different areas on your profile. One of them is the opportunity to incorporate a photo. Now, this is optional, so you do not have to include a photo. But if you would like to, we actually do see that correlate to increased views and connection requests on the platform. So it is a recommended step, although an optional one. If you are adding a photo here, just a couple of quick tips. We do recommend choosing a background that's not too distracting. This can be a professional headshot, or you can just take a selfie. You can even use the LinkedIn app to do so and add that directly to your profile here. And we do recommend it predominantly has your face in the photo. And then building beyond that, there are going to be a number of additional fields that you can start to incorporate. So you'll see a pencil icon whenever you can go in and edit the different fields on your profile. A couple of options that you'll see there are the opportunities to incorporate a location or industry if you would like to. There will be spaces to start to add any work or internship experiences on your profile. You can also start to incorporate volunteer experiences. You can add education or other certifications that you might have or be working on. It's okay if you are not graduated yet. Here, there are still opportunities to add that in. You can also start to identify any key skills that you feel strongly about having, and also incorporating if you are part of any different programs or organizations that you want it to be able to surface on your profile, there are spaces to do so. And the reason that this all starts to really help complete the profile experience is that all of these different elements you're adding are again going to help raise that discoverability. So if you are looking to build out your professional network, or maybe you are looking for opportunities or will be in the near future, all of these are really going to help enhance that discoverability on your profile. You also never
Yeah,
know what conversations that can lead
upstairs.
to. So within this here, for example, I have had colleagues of mine share that by adding components like volunteer experiences, it opened up some unique conversations with others here that were volunteering at similar organizations or the same organization. So you never know how this can help potentially really add to that networking as well as lead to interesting conversations with your network. You'll also have the option to start to add a headline into your profile. Now, a headline here on the screen is going to be just this quick one line item that appears underneath each individual's name. So really this is going to be just a brief headline statement for each of us. And I love including a headline because it, as we can see here in this general search result page, this really helps provide just a little bit of insight about us before somebody even clicks into our profile. These can be spaces here where you can include items such as some people have their job titles. Here, for example, sometimes people include a personal interest or a key skill that they might have. There are different ways to approach the headline statement. But as you're filling it out, I would encourage you to consider a few items. So if this is the only thing somebody sees about me before they click into my profile, what information does that provide? What does that say about me? Does it help start to reflect who I am as a professional or what makes me unique? And if you are actively searching for opportunities here, that can also incorporate things like maybe what a recruiter might be interested in as well. So those are just a couple of suggestions, but this is an open field. So you can really make this your own to really start to create a compelling headline. And then another open text field within your profile is what we refer to as the summary here. And as we can see here, it's really this paragraph, couple paragraphs here. And it is an open space for you to start to share your own experience. You can consider items such as who you are, a little bit more about your experiences in the classroom, in internships, in employment opportunities, key passions you might have. And you can even include some context about your goals or how other members on the LinkedIn platform can engage with you. Perhaps you are interested in connecting with others in a specific industry, for example, and you indicate so there are a number of ways to approach the summary statement, but this is one of my personal favorite spaces on the profile because really this is your own. This can start to be part of really what creates that compelling story about what makes each of us unique. And in fact, the summary does also show up in search results here. We recommend including at least 40 words here to help really add that into the search result summary. So those keywords you're incorporating into your summary statement are also going to help increase the likelihood here of that discoverability of your profile. So those are a couple of best practices as you go about building your profile. Now, if you do have any questions getting started with filling out your profile, as you go about that, there are going to be some tools already built into the experience to really help ensure that you are completing your profile. There's some recommendations there right on the platform. So we hope it'll be a good experience there in starting to really build out that profile. Once that's completed, that's when we can really start to engage with more of the networking component. So I'll just pause here. Let me make sure if I did miss any questions here around the profile piece. One moment here. Let me just make sure. Perfect. Oh, I love everyone is connecting with each other. That's fantastic to see. Wonderful. I don't see any current questions. But again, I will check in again at the end of the call, as well as following up from the call if I missed anything. And I'm so glad to see so many people already have their profiles started. So now that we have our profiles and you've already started this process, which is so wonderful, but this is where it gets really exciting to start to really build out a professional network. And this is something that I wish personally I had started earlier in my career journey. We can start to really build out our professional networks at any time. And I'll show you a few ways to go about this. But certainly here, especially as we think about many of us might be in employment or internship opportunities over the summer. Many of us may still actively be at university or college environments. There are so many potential opportunities to connect with others. So I hope that this next section here will help continue the efforts already happening in the chat, which is so wonderful to see. So when we think about networking here, it is actually something that is very important to consider. And one of the reasons I say that is in a recent survey that our LinkedIn team performed here, we found that approximately 50% of hires had resulted from a personal connection. And that's because often we might be learning about new opportunities from connections. Maybe we're getting those direct referrals about opportunities that are becoming available. So there are a couple of different reasons why your network and those personal connections can help lead to additional opportunities. So that's why this networking piece is so important. And on LinkedIn, you'll find that there are a couple of tools that we hope will make this easier to be able to start expanding your network further. So on the platform, you may have already seen this, but we do have a couple of different labels in place. And really, these are designed to help really make it easier to start to discover and reach out to connections. So you will see contacts that will be labeled as a first degree connection. And that means that we are directly connected to them on the LinkedIn platform already. So this individual in the middle is already direct connections with each of these three other individuals. But from here, the platform will start to do something really interesting. It will start to suggest second degree connections as well. So in this case, here, this person is not directly connected yet, but we can see that they do have a connection in common. And then the platform will go even one step further with a third degree connection. Well, why does this matter? How does this help us all start to really think about our networks? Well, when we start to understand these other connections we may have in common, if you are like me, this can make it much more comfortable to be able to reach out to potential new connections as well. Here's an example. In this case here, they reached out here and provided a message, and they are mentioning that we have a mutual connection in common. In this case, that individual is pursuing a career path that seems aligned to what this other person has been able to accomplish. They would love to learn more. This is a perfect example about how these different connection labels can make it potentially more comfortable to be able to reach out, start to build out those connections because we already know we do have a connection in common. We also do have a tab on LinkedIn. It'll be the My Network tab. There's going to be a menu of tabs at the top of your LinkedIn experience. And when you go into that tab here, you'll also start to see suggested connections as well. Now, here's where I often get a lot of questions. Sometimes people are curious, should I be adding my family members? Maybe these are my friends, but we haven't worked together per se. And absolutely, these are all going to be great opportunities to really start to expand your network. Again, there may be somebody that will be a secondary connection here, and maybe that family member will be the person that can help make that reach out a little bit easier to accomplish. So, absolutely, you can consider friends, family, current and former colleagues, current and former managers as well. Sometimes people don't think about adding their managers into their network. Here, current and former classmates as well. These are just a few suggestions here. But the suggestions that you will see on the platform under the network tab will also improve over time as well as you start to build out your network. Here, it's going to provide some of those suggestions right on your network tab with others you can potentially reach out to. So, a lot of great opportunities here to start to build out your network. And you can also go into a direct search as well. Now, when you go into searching for connections here, you'll start to be able to search by name, company, location, keyword, a couple of different ways you can go about the search. In terms of how I've seen this leveraged, one opportunity here is that perhaps we are already looking for connections working at a certain company, for example, because we want to learn more about their experiences at the company. That might be an area where the search could be very helpful. So that is an opportunity for you as well if you wanted to be able to search for connections. And whenever you are forming a new connection on the platform, we do recommend that you leverage the message tool. When you send those connection requests, it will ask if you want to include a message, and we do recommend it. This can help really personalize that experience. It can help others better understand, why you might be reaching out, how they can help you. So we do always recommend considering adding that message when you do reach out to others on the platform. That can really help in terms of adding some of that additional context as to why you may be reaching out. And we can start to think about this with a bit of a strategic approach as well. So, for example, we can reach out to people we have something in common with. Maybe we have had an internship at the same company in the past. Maybe we do volunteer for a similar organization or a part of the same student organizations. We can also start to really think about reaching out to those who might have different career journeys that we are aspiring to. And then when you do reach out in terms of what you can start to incorporate in those message fields, these can include items such as who you are, how you discovered their profile. And sometimes people hesitate to ask, how others may be able to help. But there are so many stories from the LinkedIn network about professionals that really do want to help others along their career journeys. So, incorporating some of those details can really help others. So many people are on the platform and are looking to be able to really help. So, just a few best practices in terms of approaching your networking there. So that was a little bit about the professional networking piece. And again, I highly encourage you to think about opportunities to connect with those around you currently. So in your internship and employment opportunities, in your classes, in different events that you might be attending, whether that is through your campus or through the local community, just so many different opportunities to start to connect. And one last best practice here that has helped me in my own networking efforts is that you can also consider leveraging and downloading the mobile app for LinkedIn as well. For me, what I have found, just personally for me, sometimes if I am at an event and then I leave, sometimes I simply forget to make those connection requests. So for me, I love being able to do that more quickly. So having the mobile app makes that a little bit more efficient for me personally, so that I can make sure I'm completing those connections before I leave different events that I may be attending. So just a quick tip from my own experiences there. So as you start to build out your network, then we want to start to consider different spaces here in terms of really working with our network. So a couple of ways that you can start to engage with your network as we build those out. And one of them is going to be referrals. And we have found in a recent survey that LinkedIn members were about 4 times more likely to get hired when they were referred to an opportunity. But before we go into referrals, let's start with informational interviews. This is a really common way to approach the LinkedIn platform and working with your network. So when we think about informational interviews, we are really talking about just a one-on-one meeting with somebody. And really the goal here is to perhaps gain advice on their career path. Maybe we want to learn a little bit more about a specific industry that they are working within or a role that they're working in. Maybe we want to find out more about that company that they are working for. Ultimately, also just really building relationships, starting to establish some of these professional bonds. And so when it comes to asking for informational interviews, there's an example on the screen here, but we can see in this case, this person reached out. They are interested in communication related careers, wanted to learn a little bit more about this person's experience in the industry. So here, I'm providing some great context for what the meeting would be about, what they're hoping to learn from their time together, and in this case, just a quick 20-minute chat. So this is just one example of what that reach out could look like for an informational interview. So just one way that you can potentially start to work with your LinkedIn network. And this, I will say as well, has also really opened up some new opportunities here. If somebody is local to you, that's great. But in many cases, people are not. And so this is where the easy access to tools like Zoom and Teams to be able to have these quick informational interviews has also been very helpful in many cases. Now, if you start to really think about referrals, this is where we can start to go a little bit beyond informational interviews. In this case, here, there is a specific role that we are interested in. By requesting a referral, that really creates the space here where somebody can help really make that connection with the company here. This allows them, as we can see, there's an example on the screen here. But this allows the person working at the company to be able to potentially share insight as to the position or team or make that referral. So this is another opportunity that is available on the platform. And making referrals is quite common. In fact, about 60% of the workforce in some of our surveys has actively referred someone to a job at their company. So this is another way that you can potentially engage with your network. And then you can also start to request recommendations on the platform as well. Recommendations create a great space here. In this case, not tied to a specific role, but just more broadly about some of those work experiences with you. This could be coming from current or former managers, current or former colleagues. Maybe you worked on a project with somebody. This could even be maybe a classmate you worked on a project closely with here, or if anybody does have mentors or advisors that they have worked with, another great space here for people who may be able to really create that recommendation. And this provides an open opportunity for them to talk a little bit more about their experiences in working with you. So this can be a really impactful way that can really, again, help add to that compelling story about what it's like to work with us, what makes us unique as a potential colleague. And like all relationships here too, we often do find that continuing to engage with your network over time is a really valuable practice to be in. This includes steps like investing time in your connections, here, interacting with posts that your network is making. Here, you can join different groups to be able to really go in more detail around specific topics and if relevant, including things like those recommendations for each other. But this is another one where I would highly encourage engaging with your network over time. It can be challenging sometimes. People might be engaging with their network when they're actively seeking opportunities. But what I would recommend is really just revisiting with your network over time here. So this is just another way, again, to help strengthen those professional bonds and relationships. So that was a little bit about building your network, then starting to engage with your network. But I do want to include a couple of slides here for those of you that might be actively seeking opportunities as well. There are a couple of best practices that I can recommend on the platform. And there is a lot of activity happening on the platform itself. We have, at the time this was put together, approximately 40 million job seekers visiting the LinkedIn Jobs tab every week. So a lot of activity happening on the platform. We have recruiters using the platform, we have job seekers using the platform, companies using the platform, so much activity happening. So how can we start to focus our time if we are actively looking for new opportunities? Well, one of my favorite features is a relatively newer one, and that is our open to work feature. If you've been on the platform, you might have seen this already, but this adds a banner around somebody's profile image that indicates they are open to work. But you can also leverage open to work without displaying that banner as well. There are options here. Ultimately, what this is going to be doing is creating a space where you can indicate that you are interested in different job titles, job roles, job locations, or a couple of different filters to customize this experience. You can also start to indicate if you are available immediately or more casually looking for opportunities. And you have a space where you can indicate this to your broader network using that banner, or perhaps you want to keep this a little bit more private. You just want recruiters on the platform to see that you're open to work. You can do that as well. With all of these features here, what this is going to do is help raise that discoverability that you're open to opportunities with recruiters that use our platform. With the banner in particular, this also helps your network understand that you're open to opportunities. Many times, people might not know that we're seeking new opportunities. So perhaps at their current company, there are different positions coming available that might be interesting for them to just, provide some more information about those roles to us. By indicating that you're open to work, it really helps your network understand how they can better work with you in that sense as well. So it helps your network engage with you further, as well as recruiters better understand that you are open to opportunities. So a great option here if you are looking for new opportunities currently. If you are ready to more actively search on the platform, there is a jobs tab you can navigate to. And I highly recommend using the advanced filters for this one. So you'll be able to input a couple of different fields right away, search for different positions. Here, if it is location specific, indicating that. But you can go into the advanced filters to go into much more detail as well. These do include opportunities to indicate things. For example, maybe you are looking for an on-site position, maybe you're looking for a remote position, or somewhere in between with the hybrid roles. There are a couple of different areas like that where you can start to customize the results that you're seeing. And then something that I would encourage as well is considering the search alert feature. So if you add that search alert feature, this is really going to help you receive notification as new opportunities become available on the platform. Sometimes it's easy to miss these different job postings with so much happening on the LinkedIn platform. So this is a way where you can proactively receive notification about these new postings. So this is a great one as well. When you set up that alert, there are a couple of different options. So you're able to set your preferences around that. But this can help really you discover new opportunities as they get added to the platform, and be able to make sure that you're seeing those, so you're able to consider those if they are a good match and something that you want to further apply to, helping you be able to go about that process early as that's posted. So I do recommend the search alerts as well. And then you can also start to see some jobs that may be of interest to you. So as you navigate the platform here, you'll start to see some different opportunities suggested. So you're able to explore through that. There are different opportunities to filter some of that in as well. And then lastly, within these sections here, I do recommend exploring company pages if you haven't yet done so on the platform. Company pages are pages that they are going to maintain, and oftentimes they are going to include a lot of great information. For example, there is a life section where they can incorporate things like more about the company culture. Here you can see if that is a good alignment for what you are seeking as well. There are other spaces here where they can include, for example, the jobs tab directly from that page. And then one thing that I like to do with the company pages is also just see what they're posting. What is top of mind for the company that they are finding relevant enough to add here to their feed? That helps me just learn a little bit more about what those current priorities are. And as an extra tip, if you are going to be going into interviews and things like that, that also provides just a little bit of context here. So you can potentially feel a little bit more prepared going into those interviews, just knowing a little bit about what's top of mind for companies. In many interviews I've attended, for example, there's often space for you to ask them questions here. So this is just one additional area where you can feel a little bit more informed potentially about what is top of mind for the companies. And if you have not seen it yet, here you can also indicate there's an I'm interested button here that again will help recruiters be able to discover you more easily within the platform. And in fact, something I did not realize before I started working here is that companies can actually tell if you are interacting with their content and their pages here. Recruiters have access to something called a spotlight tab, and that is going to help raise some of that visibility. So I strongly encourage exploring company pages in addition to job postings if you are actively looking to learn more about companies here or potentially apply for some of these opportunities. So those were a couple of best practices around leveraging and optimizing your experience on LinkedIn.com. I do want to spend just a little bit of time here around a few other features and LinkedIn Learning here before we go into additional questions. But one additional space on LinkedIn that might be of interest to you here is that if this is applicable to you, you can start to explore the alumni tab for the various schools that you may have attended. This helps really create some additional insight as to some of these career paths taken by fellow alumni. For example, there are spaces here to explore what companies they may be working for, just as an example. And again, this is also creating a wonderful networking opportunity because this helps you really discover fellow alumni. You already know that you have at least that one thing in common. So if you're like me, that can make it much more comfortable to be able to reach out. Now, a couple of other tools that I did want to share today. We also do have what we refer to as our Career Explorer tool. And this provides some great insights here as to possible transferable skills. So this provides you a space to start to really consider your current and previous experiences and how some of those skills might transfer to other opportunities that you potentially want to explore in the future as well. This is really part of that broader career journey. It's something that a lot of us think about quite often. So we think about the skills that we're building in our current roles. And this is also a question I get asked when it comes to what experiences should I add to my LinkedIn profile? Sometimes people are hesitant. Maybe it was a part time opportunity, maybe it was just a temporary work opportunity here, but really consider some of those skills that you developed in each of these different roles, or maybe it's a role with a student organization, whatever the case may be. We really want to think about some of these transferable skills that we've been building. So here's an example from my own personal history. So my roles here have had a common thread of customer support. It's been a big key component of every role that I have ever had within my career journey. And that's something that I really focus in on strongly. How can I continue to build my customer support and customer service skills? And then that really becomes a part of my broader story. So that is really a key component of me here as a potential employee, for example. So this is just one area where transferable skills can be a broader part of that conversation, your unique story, and something that is really, compelling as to what my individual professional brand is. So this is a wonderful tool to explore. Anybody can explore this tool here. And there are also professional groups on the platform as well. These cover different industries, different areas of interest, different roles, lots of different groups you can explore on the platform to find more information. What are other professionals in this space talking about? What are they sharing with each other? So a great opportunity to be able to explore the groups. And then over time, also continuing to consider posting content as well, raising that discoverability to your profile. And there are some tools here if you are interested in posting more actively here that you can take advantage of. You can even do things like schedule posts in advance. Now, this has been a lot of information. So for any students that may be on today's call, if you are looking for one quick resource link to revisit a lot of these best practices, we do have that available for you. So it'll be students.linkedin.com here, and I'll be able to add that here in the chat as well. But this will provide a great space to revisit some of these best practices. And then I did want to close out here with a mention of LinkedIn Learning. This is my main product that I work on, and I just think it provides so many incredible opportunities. LinkedIn Learning, in case this is new to anybody on the call, here on the perimeter of the screen, we can see some of the current statistics around LinkedIn.com. But really, that broader LinkedIn network is informing the direction we take with our LinkedIn Learning resource, which is a library of online courses you can take in business, creative, technology skills, just to name a few of the broader topics that we cover. LinkedIn Learning here, what I would recommend, this is separate from your LinkedIn.com account. So what I recommend is checking with your school or organization that you might be working for to see if they provide LinkedIn Learning access. I will also include a few open LinkedIn Learning courses at the end of this. But I would start there. LinkedIn Learning is going to be a paid service. So just start there, checking if they provide access for you. But if they do, a great space where you can go in, start to explore different courses, and really help build out additional skills that can help complement all of the skills you're building and your employment opportunities, as well as within your classes that you are attending. And there is content on LinkedIn Learning in several different formats. So there are full length courses, shorter videos, learning paths where you can take multiple courses in a progressive series. So a lot of different content features here that we hope meet different needs that you might have on the platform. And where this starts to really come together is that as you do complete LinkedIn Learning courses in their entirety, you start to earn certificates of completion. If you connect your LinkedIn Learning and LinkedIn.com profiles, you can then, with a few quick clicks, as we see on the right, add those certificates to your profile. So this is another opportunity to help really build out your profile further. It even has some great steps like suggesting skills that are related to that course in case those are ones that you feel comfortable adding to your profile. So being able to really work on new skills, enhance new skills, or really continue building on existing skills that you may feel strongly about, being able to then earn those certificates of completion and start to showcase those efforts on your profile. To me, this is where it all just gets so exciting in terms of what's possible with the platforms. And a newer opportunity on the platform is to also be able to earn professional certificates. What these are pre-curated learning paths of courses that have been curated with partnering organizations. On the image we see here, this is just one example for Adobe. But you can take the learning for its own purposes, but at the end, it will also unlock an exam you can take. And if you pass that, you can earn a co-branded certificate, for example, from LinkedIn Learning and Adobe. And then again, show that on your profile. So really showcase those accomplishments. We also do have certification prep, practice exams, and continued education units for a couple of different providers. In these cases, LinkedIn Learning does not offer the certifications, but we can help you prepare or maintain those certifications for a number of different providers. And there is content specifically focused on key areas like finding a job after college, or specific roles like becoming a marketing coordinator, or trends that we're seeing. For example, the top skills project management professionals have right now. These are just a sampling of hundreds of pre-curated learning paths you can explore, and broader topics that are very relevant to today's discussion on items such as really building out your personal brand, for example, searching for jobs, even interview tips. Just so much to explore on the LinkedIn Learning resource. And with some of the newer additions to the platform, you can also navigate role guides that will provide suggested content all around specific roles that you may be exploring. You can add goals, into the platform as well. And those goals will start to populate a learning plan of suggested courses to explore further, and even a tool to help you start to explore what may be possible in terms of both near and long-term goals. Now, the last couple of tips here, you may also notice as you are going about exploring opportunities, oftentimes within job postings themselves, there are indications about key skills that might help somebody be prepared for that role. What you can then do, knowing that information, is if this is a skill you wanted to maybe work on a little bit further, bringing that in to the LinkedIn Learning experience here as an example. So this is just one space here where you can start to explore some of these key skills around specific roles. Now, for anybody on today's call that might not have access to LinkedIn Learning, I did want to bring this resource to your attention, and that is going to be opportunity.linkedin.com. So if your organization or school does not currently provide LinkedIn Learning, on this site, you will actually find some content that is available. So you can explore some of these unlocked learning paths here to go into some really relevant topics here and work on some of the LinkedIn Learning courses in this way. So we do have a space here if you don't currently have LinkedIn Learning access, where you can go in and start to explore some of the content as well. And I know we are just about at time, so I will stop my share here, but I thank you all for your attention. That went quickly here. But again, in this materials here, when I send this over, we will include a couple of follow-up resources so you can spend more time with some of this content as well. We also do have a course called Rock Your Profile. It's one of my favorite courses in the library, and it will go into even more detail here about ways to optimize your profile. Here, that is unlocked, so anybody can access that course. And that is going to provide a great resource following up for today's conversation if you want more time with some of these topics here and ways to really think about your LinkedIn profile. So I will stop here and just see if there were any additional questions that I could help with for today.
We did get a couple in the chat, Anna. Thank you so much for all of your information. One of the question was, a lot of people I know have been trying to get informational interviews, and even when they add a personal message, they still get a lot of non-response. What tips do you have in that case?
Yeah, that is a good point, and I have heard that as well. So when it comes to some of these informational interview requests or just any other outreach happening on the platform, we will want to make sure we are considering here that many people are, going about, like all of us too, I'm sure, here are going about pretty busy days. And so with that, here, there may be a gap of time before somebody comes back onto the platform and sees some of those messages that you've reached out. So we will want to make sure, we are just approaching that with a little bit of patience there, that people might not be on the platform all the time. There could be a gap of time there. Now, if they are still not responding, I would say another good approach here would be really thinking about here again, maybe there are other opportunities here, depending on why you're reaching out to them, where we might have other connections we could potentially reach out to. So, for example, if we're reaching out to somebody, maybe because they work at a specific company, maybe we can explore using some of that network tool, the network tab on LinkedIn. Maybe there are additional contacts we can reach out to. And then I would say the more we build out our professional networks, the more we're able to then start to indicate things like we have this connection in common. All of those, I think, can really help add to some of that really compelling reason for somebody to respond back. But just a couple of tips there. Sometimes it can take a little bit of time for somebody to be able to return your messages. So not uncommon if that's happening to you. That does happen quite often. So I don't want you to feel hesitant about making those outreaches there. Maybe we can consider other networking opportunities as well. Or maybe you can also send them a follow-up message potentially here in case they missed that.
Perfect. Well, thank you. I know we went a little over there. It's 1:02. But really appreciate your time, Anna, and want to thank you for all the insights and tips.
Thank you all so much. It was wonderful to be here today, and I just really appreciate everybody's time. I love to see everybody connecting in the chat as well. So thank you all so much. Again, that Rock Your Profile course is a great next item here if you wanted to spend a little bit more time with today's topics.
Perfect. Thank you.